father owned and operated gyms for 30 years. I grew up in that industry. I wanted to open up my own gym. So I planned on this just being a stepping stone to go out there and raise the capital to do that. But, quickly just fell in love with real estate, man. Jumped in 2005, did 48 deals my first year. That led me to hitting a capacity and hiring my first assistant. So starting my team, starting in 2006, did 103 deals that second. And okay, do I want to be stuck here and continue these 5 units a month? Or do I want to continue to grow and scale? So eventually it comes down to then you got to start plugging in people and delegating out these tasks. But I don't care how talented and great people are. If they don't have proven processes and systems to plug into, they can never show us their greatness. Then from there, though, it comes down to also your ability to go out there and read the markets. Because we got to understand there's no such, like, just get this, notation out of your head that there's such a thing as a good market or a bad market. There's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. The market is always good for somebody. As a real estate professional, it's our job to identify whom the market is currently good for and then pivot and adjust our overall strategies to whom the market is good for. Like, there's so much massive opportunity regardless of what the market is doing.
You're listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories, help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, it is hot as hell right now in Medellin. I don't know if you're feeling this, like global warming. I don't know if you believe in global warming.
Shut the fuck up. I'm done. You go watch. You can go. I'm done. I'm off this show. It's a non-political show, and I'm done.
No, but you're not a fan of global warming? It's really hot here today, though. So
it's called one day out of the year. It's 85 degrees in Medellin.
No, it's been very warm here over the last week. So I don't know. Tell me how you feel about that.
I have my air conditioning and fans going. We are contributing to the warming of the globe as we speak. So I'm totally fine with that.
I feel very confident.
This is why people think I'm an asshole. Because of you.
Hey, you're welcome. It is what it is. What are you up to this weekend? You had a solid week though. You're doing a lot of things. Let's jam really quick before we intro our guest. Okay. I want to hear a little bit more about your marketing messaging. What's up?
Clients in the trial are winning. Last year we were focused more on small teams, helping small teams grow, but talking with Sharon and talking with you and just talking with people, really what people need right now, the majority of the agents need to go from where they were at last year, where they were, crushing the market because the market was just good, to now their skills are not at the level that they thought they were. And, right now I'm just like, let's just help agents that are trying to go from 1 to 2 and get them there consistently and get a couple hundred people there. And then we bump them up into the next level, because that's where a lot of help is needed. And that's where we thrive. So we have an accelerated program where we meet 3 times a week. Sometimes we meet 4 times. Sometimes we bring you or guests on, but we're just helping our clients. I mean, Mario Kugal, I was talking to yesterday, his goal is to do 24 transactions in the next quarter. Mario's 14, right? So just not all the people are going from 1 to 2, some are going from 4 to 6, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, something like that. But people are they don't have the systems, man. They don't have the stability. And so they have a great month. They eat like a king or a queen, and then they just get crushed. So I just opened up the trial. It's, you get to come in for a week, check it out, see if I'm a fit for you. I'm not for everybody, and not everybody's for me. And I don't want to try to be a chameleon for the oddball that, could learn, but they could also learn from somebody else. And we're having fun, dude. We're helping a lot of people, and there's a couple of tears this week from some clients, and that's what it's all about, is helping humans.
Yeah, man. I love the fact that you took Sharon's advice around opening up for the trial and helping people and see if they're.
It's been an absolute waste of time for a lot of people, though, because the people that commit, they would have committed anyways, I think.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't, it's the same people that go to the gym and stay unhealthy. They get the trial to the gym and they leave after the first day because there's too many people in the gym, but they're not willing to make a sacrifice to go to the gym at, 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's going to disrupt their sleep time, because they don't want to not watch their Netflix that night. So they're just going to find a reason not to go.
Yeah. You got to want it. You can't.
I think I'm going to shut the trial down, actually.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I think I'm going to shut it down.
You do you. You do you. But we have a guest, and today somebody that's as we were prepping for this podcast, even chatting in the green room today, somebody that is like a super high performer. And it's always exciting when you have the opportunity to chat with high performers that are doing multiple things in multiple, maybe in the same industry of real estate, but doing things at a high level in multiple different businesses, such as software, such as coaching, such as still running a real estate team, and now is out of production. Today we have Josh Smith with us out of the Phoenix, Arizona area, which is like, we've had so many people from Phoenix today, and we got connected through Alan Kushmakoff, who when we had that podcast, it was like freaking phenomenal, like just another high performer. Josh, like, why don't you give us like high level Cliff Notes version on how you got into real estate? I know you mentioned in the green room that you've been in real estate since 2005, out of really, you got not necessarily out of necessity, but a decision you made in order to drive some cash flow really into your life. Give us a high level overview on kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So first off, appreciate you guys having me, man. Honored to be here with you. So as you mentioned, man, 2005. So I was 23 years old. It just recently dropped out of college a couple years prior to that. And look, I needed a way to go out there and make money. And in 2005, that market was very similar to like a 2021 market, where it was just crazy, and the outsider looking, from an outsider, just seemed like everybody in real estate was just printing money, right? So I was like, all right, man, like, I love the work. I have a hard work ethic. I love people. I love sales. I was like, all right, I'll jump in there, bank some money. And it, I wasn't planning on this being a long-term career. I wanted to, my father owned and operated gyms for 30 years. I grew up in that industry. I wanted to open up my own gym. So I planned on this just being a stepping stone to go out there and raise the capital to do that. But, quickly just fell in love with real estate, man. So jumped in 2005, did 48 deals my first year. That led me to hitting a capacity and hiring my first assistant. So starting my team, starting in 2006, did 103 deals that second. And, like I mentioned, man, just very quickly, real estate became my obsession, where health and fitness, still remain my passion. But then, here we are 18 years later and 7,000 plus home sales later, and just, loving the journey, dude.
You can't do 7,000 home sales in real estate without systems and processes and really ways to understand the market locally and to really take market share. Because at that point in time, like, you're out of the, the 1 to 2 deals that we chatted about at the beginning, into like, how do we systematically create a process where if we just do this consistently, we get clients. Talk me through like the conversations you're having with the clients you're coaching right now, the team that you have. Like, what is it? Because you chatted earlier about like, understanding the current market and the current climate that we're in. What does that mean in order to continue to grow year after year after year? Because 2020 and 2021, like, we know, and I think we can all agree on that, we're very different markets than 22 and 23. What does that mean to you to create a systematic approach or a systematic process that continually creates new income, new revenue in a business?
Yeah, I mean, at a very high level, it breaks down to, you got systems, processes, strategy, and then eventually people, right? I mean, that's what all of this breaks down to. So, when it comes to systems and processes, I mean, now when I say simplistic, I understand if you're not a systems and processes person, that it can be overwhelming, confusing. But at the end of the day, it's just, okay, it starts off with what is a process? Step-by-step actions that you take to get whatever the desired result that you want. So anything done more than once inside your business needs to have a documented process. Then that process lives somewhere, right? Wherever it lives is the system. The system is the cookbook. The recipes inside the cookbook are the processes. So we have to have those in place in order to go out there and scale. Allows us to ensure that we're delivering the same result over and over and over. Things are done the same way each and every time, over and over. Things don't get missed. But then eventually we're all going to hit a capacity, and you have a decision to make. Do I want to be stuck at, let's just say you're an individual agent and your capacity is doing 5 units a month. Okay, do I want to be stuck here and continue these 5 units a month for the rest of my career? Or do I want to continue to grow and scale? So eventually it comes down to, then you got to start plugging in people and delegating out these tasks. But I don't care how talented and great people are, if they don't have proven processes and systems to plug into, they can never show us their greatness. Then from there, when it comes to your ability to grow and scale year after year, yeah, you have to have all those things in play that we already talked about. Then from there, though, it comes down to also your ability to go out there and read the markets. Because we got to understand there's no such, like, just get this, notation out of your head that there's such a thing as a good market or a bad market. There's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. The market is always good for somebody. As a real estate professional, it's our job to identify whom the market is currently good for and then pivot and adjust our overall strategies to whom the market is good for. Dude, transactions are always taking place. Real estate's always trading hands. If you look at 2021, most people talk about that as being a good market. Well, the media defines a good market as a highly appreciating seller's market. Yeah, it's good for sellers, but it fucking sucked for buyers. Right? So it's always good for somebody, bad for somebody. So just getting that notation out of our head, regardless transactions are taking place. We just had our best month in my 18 years of doing this last month. And I'm talking to realtors all day long that are bitching and moaning and whining about this market and transaction volume being down. And it's like, look, dude, if you know how to pivot correctly, there's so much massive opportunity regardless of what the market is doing.
When you say pivot, I want to touch on that word because I think that was a big word in 2020, the word pivot. Everyone was pivoting. All these businesses were pivoting. What does that mean to pivot without necessarily completely changing courses and neglecting the fundamentals in business?
Well, okay. So a pivot is just to shift direction, right? So you've got the fundamentals. The fundamentals always need to take place. One problem that a lot of people are having right now is they didn't need to operate based on the fundamentals on a high level over the last decade plus, because we just came out of the longest bull market in recorded history, came out of the easiest, real estate market to, the last 10 to 12 years has just been a fucking easy ride that we'll probably never experience again for the rest of our careers. As the great Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you see who's skinny dipping. Well, a lot of people got caught skinny dipping, right? So when things contract like they have right now, we are in 100% of real estate market crash right now. When people hear that, they just think of prices. Well, you've got a correction and a crash. A crash is a correction beyond 20%. So transaction volume, if we look at nationwide, it's down 37%. Each market is down differently, but transaction volume has for sure crashed, right? So you got about 40% less transactions taking place in most markets right now. So now it's back to those fundamentals. But you've got the fundamentals. So what are the fundamentals, man? The fundamentals are okay. I've got to lead generate every day. I've got to lead generate, lead follow up. So you got activities. Just coming down to the sales funnel, right? So I've got to execute great on all of those things. I've got to go out there and track my business. I've got to have my systems tuned in. I've got to, make sure that my past client repeat business, all those fundamentals 100% still apply and apply more so than ever before, right? But then when I'm saying pivoting, I'm talking about, okay, in the last decade plus, we've been able to operate in a shotgun approach. You could just go shotgun shit out, cast out a wide net, and there was just enough business that would fall into your lap where it would take place. Right now, today, we got to operate like a freaking sniper with a sniper scope. You got 950,000 active listings on the market right now, and you got 1.6 million realtors. So it's more skewed than really it's ever been historically with that count. So we got more competition with realtors than ever before, less listings, less transaction volume. So we've got to be extremely, extremely laser focused with strategy. And when I say, okay, pivoting to strategy, going from shotgun to sniper, so identifying, okay, who has that need, not just a want, but who has a need, a desperation almost to go out there and transact in this market. And I'm happy to go down and give a lot of different examples of, who are the buyers, how we're getting sellers, and what that looks like. But we got to identify who has that need.
Let's talk about, so buyers, if you guys can't get buyers, go do open houses. If you ain't got no money, go do open houses. Buyers are plentiful. What are you guys doing right now to get in front of sellers? That's I think that's where the challenge for a lot of people is to get in front of the listings. And then I want to go into how do you actually win the listing in a market that's so competitive where people are willing to say and do almost anything to put their sign in the yard.
Yeah. So, one thing that I've always focused on is, okay, when you're assessing a market, break it down. Who's buying, who's selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they coming from, where are they going, what is the product? So then that gives me, the ideal client that I'm going to target in that given market. But then from there, I approach it another layer of, okay, where is the least resistance? I can go after FSBOs and expireds right now, but there's lesser of them. And, you might have 100 other agents going after them. I'm not saying they're not successful, but I'm going to have that much more resistance going after them. So, I'm always looking at those components to put strategy together. So if we look at, okay, and I'll go through, because our primary focus in this market, yeah, we like buyers and we're working with a lot of buyers too, but our primary focus is to stack as many listings and have as many listing transactions in this market as we possibly can. So with the economy that we're in right now, and the market that we're in right now, so I'll give a few different niches that are just murdering it for us right now. Okay, the first one is the investor niche. So for the first time in 15 plus years here in the States, we're starting to see cap rate compressions taking place, right? So you got a situation where we've got prices at or close to all-time highs, but we have rents coming down, right? There's just been an abundance of rentals. There's another, over 1 million coming online in the next 12 months. So we're seeing rents, if you look at the top 57 of the top 100 metros in the United States, all rents are down year over year. So rents are coming down, right? And when I'm speaking to this investor niche, we even break it down twofold. So I'll first talk about STR, your short-term vacation rentals, and then we'll talk about just your regular long-term buy and hold investors. All right, so then with short-term vacation rentals, man, 50% of all short-term vacation rentals, which there's 1.3 million of them throughout the States right now, 50% of those were acquired post-COVID. So it became this big fad thing that everybody jumped into. Well, then if you look at 2020, 2021, 2022, average occupancy rates were 70% on short-term vacation rentals. Right now, today, it's 56%. And certain markets like mine, we're at 52%. So, their cash flow has waned dramatically, and a lot of them are starting to bleed capital, man. They're losing money on those investments. So I'm looking at that of, okay, if they have a need, they have a desire. And if you look at with the economy right now, we're amongst the most expensive or unaffordable real estate's ever been in the United States history, which is why you've got, about 40% of the average consumer that's just completely out of this market. But then from there, it's the most expensive time to be alive and to operate as a U.S. citizen. With all this, life is 40% more expensive today than it was just before COVID. So with that, you got domestic travel falling off of a cliff right now. And this is just going to continue to exacerbate, right? Unless all of a sudden fiscal monetary policy changes dramatically, which there's no signs that that's going to take place. So, okay, we're targeting them, we're reaching out to them. It's okay. So that, and we can get into scripting here in a minute, but, so that, again, identifying who has that need, who has that desire, and where there's not a lot of saturation. So I'm reaching out to them, having conversations with them. I'm usually the only freaking realtor that's reaching out to them, having these conversations. All right, then we look at LTRs, your long-term buy and holds. They're experiencing the same thing. Maybe not quite as the severity of the drop-off of cash flow. But, okay, my market, long-term rentals, rent rates are down 6% year over year. So let's just say they were at 10% cap rate a year and a half ago. Doesn't mean that a 4% cap rate now today, because we got taxes going up, you got insurance going up, you got cost of maintenance and labor going up. So that probably puts them, it was at 10% cap rate a year and a half ago, down to about a 2.5%, 3% cap rate today. So when we're reaching out to them, it's just, hey, whatever their name is, this is Joshua Smith here, XYZ Real Estate, or I'm a local real estate agent here in Glendale, Arizona. I know that your time's valuable, so I promise I'll be quick. But I noticed you got an investment property at 123 West Main Street, and I wanted to reach out. A lot of my current investor clients and local investors are choosing to unload portions of the real estate portfolio right now due to the current economic climate in the real estate market, and just want to see if that's something that you are considering. And if so, I'd be more than happy to send over the numbers to you, and we can set the time to further discuss those numbers and discuss your options. And then just pause. Right now, here's what the cool thing that I like about both of these categories. It's all same niche, but is, okay, let's just say, because we're getting about 10% conversion rate of those that we have conversations with to listing. So, the vast majority, 90%, aren't wanting to go out there and list it, at least at this time, right? So if they're like, okay, well, hey, no, property's performing great, have no interest of selling now or anytime in the near future. Okay, hey, that's so great to hear. Again, a lot of investors that I'm working with and speaking with aren't in your situation. So I'm really happy to hear that this property's performing well for you. Hey, real quick, before I let you go, just out of curiosity, if I could find you other properties that perform as well, if not better than this property, would you consider adding other investment properties to your portfolio? And if so, can I email those over to you? Like any decently sophisticated, savvy investor says yes to that. So then positioning ourselves for those future investment, investor clients, with that. The other niche, and I'll be quick here, is NODs. So notice of defaults. Right. And this is a niche that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. A lot of people aren't focusing on. But, okay, you got 84 million mortgages on single family attached properties throughout the U.S. And you got about 12 million HELOCs. Well, right now, you got 2.8% of those 30 days plus in defaults. That's about 3 million mortgage holders that are behind on payments right now. And it's growing in every single market, every single month right now. And about half of those, still are in a position where they could do a traditional sell, got plenty of equity. About the other half that we're speaking with have to do a short sell position. But again, it's a niche that people aren't going after, but they have, like, dude, if they don't sell, they're going to lose and foreclose their property. So again, like, where is that demand? Where is that need? Where you can go out there and help them at the highest possible level.
So there's a lot there, and I want to help. Like, there's one thing that I think that everyone listening back to this podcast should really observe is Josh's ability to know the stats, to know the numbers. And I think there's far too many, some of the top agents that we have spoken to across the country, they know their market through and through. And you know your market, and you know what's happening globally with the economy. I think there's an element of understand, like a lot of agents say, oh, I just want to sell real estate. I don't want to understand what's going on in the economy. But for the people that want to learn more about the economy, or they want to learn more about the stats, like where did you gather all this information that allowed you to be able to be the informed, to allow you to help people make informed, intelligent decisions? Like if you could break it down when you're coaching a client, you say, okay, every day you wake up, you need to do this, 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 and this in order to understand what's happening in our local market. What is that advice you would give to that agent that wants to understand what's happening globally, what's happening locally, and what's happening nationwide?
Yeah, some of this is, look, you may or may not need to pay attention to the huge macro level, it just depends. For me, I'm just a curious human being. I love history. I love, I love paying attention to and studying this stuff. How much does it impact my business? I don't really know if it has much of an impact on a big macro scale, right? Like what's going on a geopolitical front, and whatnot there. But then from there on a micro level on our own current markets, a few things that I go out there and track. Number one, I'm not a big believer in watching mainstream media and watching the local news, because it's typically a bunch of bullshit that's not going to get you any data that's going to help you. And usually it's going to be if they do have any effective data, like right now, like what's going on with the job reports, right? It's like, okay, you get this data that we get told. Number one is we get it live time. It's always skewed. It's always manipulated. And then they go back, a year or two and readjust it. So now you're finding out that, all the job reports that were told last year that were all healthy and good, no, they were off by about 1 million jobs, right? Like it ends up all being just a bunch of manipulated bullshit. So, I don't find that to serve support you, and it's probably just going to depress you. So I want to study true, accurate data that's taking place. So, okay, I go into my MLS, and now and just with this, you guys, like I spend maybe 2 hours a month with looking at this kind of data, right? The vast majority of my time is focused on strategy and going out there, client acquisition and things that are actually moving the needle forward to my business. But every single month I go in there. So, it's September 1st, at least as of the second of us recording this, so in about 5 days, once we get August data for our MLS, I'm going to go in there and I'll look at, okay, what's our inventory rate? What's our absorption rate? So I track that every month. How many new listings, how many sold listings, how many went under pending, average sale price, average list price, average sold price, median sold price, just getting those matrix. And why this becomes, and I do this month over month. And the reason why this is important. All right. So if we fast forward to, or rewind the clocks back to the great financial crisis, common thing that I heard from people was, oh man, I didn't see this coming. And when I heard that from so many realtors, that were just dropping on the business left and right, I'm like, how did you not see it coming? Now what I didn't know at the time was that I was very blessed to have amazing mentors that prepped me for this stuff. So I didn't realize that other agents weren't paying attention to this. But okay, at least in our local market, we peaked in May of 2005. Then from there was a 31-month progression of inventory increase month over month, and real estate at the highest level, supply and demand, right? So, you just watch it. If you weren't paying attention at all, yeah, I can see how you can get blindsided. But if you're watching it month over month, now I'm not going to lie and say I knew the severity that it was going to, implode to during the great financial crisis. But you could see this live time over a 30-month track. It's like, okay, when you got under 3 months of inventory, you're in a seller's market. There's more demand than there is supply. Between 4 months and that 5-month range, that's going to be more of a neutral market, equal amount. Once we get beyond 5 months, okay, that's going to turn into a buyer's market. Around 6 months, again, we start to see a lot more short sales popping up. 6 to 7 months, we start seeing REO pop up. So now I can anticipate these things. And it's what allowed me to go out there and get versed in short sales, what allowed me to go out there and get in with 35 different banks and asset management companies. So when the market tanked, I was positioned to shift and pivot with that. So paying attention to the data, becomes important, man. You got to know what's going on and then have a lot of conversations with people in your market. Because again, dude, the media is going to portray whatever narrative they want you to buy into. So like right now we're told shit is so strong, like shit is not strong at all. Like go talk to average people in your community. They are getting destroyed. They are getting broken. So just having those conversations, like what are you seeing? What are you experiencing? How's like, let's take off the mask. Like how are you doing in life? I'm talking to, it was at my bank the other day, opened up a checking or a savings account for my youngest son. And I'm talking to the lady that's helping me facilitate that. And I'm just like, asking about customers coming in, if there's more accounts being open, more accounts being closed, what they're seeing, just trying to get intel and data there. And then I asked her just like how she's doing, her family's doing. And she's like, hey man, it's tough. She's like, my husband and I both work. They have one young son and they're like, dude, we can barely afford to just take our son to even McDonald's right now because of just the inflation issue. So I like to also, it's kind of like, during COVID, man, when like during that period, this had really not much to do with COVID, but during that time where then all of a sudden all the riots went crazy, like after the George Floyd thing. And, okay, if you're watching the news or you're watching YouTube, like you think the world's fucking burning, but then as soon as I left my house, I remember going to our first big event up in Vegas after that. And I'm like, dude, you saw none of that. Like, like what's going on in the actual world isn't always what we get portrayed there. So, just pay attention, man. I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it does.
Hey, what's up? If you're a real estate agent that is not converting at least 2 deals a month, join me inside the Real Estate Sales Academy, where I will teach you exactly what to say, how to say it, so that we prevent objections and we don't create sales resistance from our prospects. If you're not doing at least 2 deals a month, comment trial below because I'm going to give you an opportunity to try our program before you buy it. You're going to get 3 live coaching calls with me, who sold over $250 million in real estate, millions of dollars of Cutco knives for free, because I believe in try before you buy, proof over promise. See you inside, comment trial below. As we pivot, right? And as agents are lost, because agents are lost, and they were lost before, they're lost now because they're not data driven. So they don't see what is in front of them because they're always so focused on one step in front of them that they can never see far enough. As we get close to wrapping up here, how do we create a mindset of a champion in a market that is crushing people left and right? And we talk to people where, hey, put a deposit of a few $100s down and their credit cards are not going through and they have no way to take care of it. How do we help those agents mindset wise?
Yeah, I would say first thing is to understand that success is internal, never external. So the market has nothing to do with your success. Right? You cannot operate that way. If you want to have this as a long-term career, you're going to have up cycles, down cycles, and everything in between. You need to learn how to be great at executing in any marketplace. So quit blaming yourself, quit being a victim. It's not the market. The cool thing about that is, like, if I'm saying, oh, my business is struggling because of the market, then I've given up any of my control and power to something that's bigger than me. That means I can't do shit about it until the market turns, right? So when we know, because that's a 100% bull, false statement. So when I know that success is internal, it's 100% my responsibility. The market doesn't dictate my success. I do. Now I know I can do something about it. That puts us into a proactive mode of, okay, then what do I need to go do about it, man? It's, it's operating really from an investor mindset of, here's the cards that have been dealt. How do I go best play this damn hands? And I talked about earlier, there's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. The market's always good for somebody. Let me identify whom the market is currently good for and go out there and pivot and adjust and adapt accordingly. Because here's the cool thing, dude, is in any market out there, I guarantee you, if agents went into their data, there's going to be agents in their market that are freaking slaying it.
Yep.
Regardless of the market. Okay, go I'm a big believer in R&D, dude. I don't try to go out there and figure this shit out on my own. R&D, rip off and duplicate. My favorite Picasso quote is, good artists copy, great artists steal. I'm like, who is murdering it at whatever aspect of my business that I need to murder it in? Let me go figure out who's murdering it. Let me see exactly what they're doing. Let me reverse engineer their strategy. And whatever took them maybe 5 years or 10 years to figure out, now I can go out there and clone that within 2 weeks. Yeah, right? And then from there, people just got to also deal in realities of, most people right now are struggling because they just don't want to put in the work and they don't want to actually go through the change. Like, okay, and with what's going on right now, unless something dramatically changes, which would take some huge global revolution, some crazy, insane reset that would, disrupt lives in a lot of different ways. And unless something crazy like that happens, what we're seeing right now is the gap between the haves and have-nots are going to continue to widen. The middle class is being obliterated. It really doesn't serve a purpose anymore today. And I'm not saying that's what I want to happen. But right now you got to pick and choose what side of the equation that you want to be on. So like with my agents right now, and I've been preaching this message for about the last 18 months to them. I'm like, look, you guys, now is not the time to seek balance. Now is the time to work harder, be more focused, and dig deeper than you ever fucking dug before in your life. Like, we're going to go through some shit storms here. This is going to be a challenge. It's not easy. I'm working 7 days a week. I'm working more and harder than I have in my 18 years. It's just like right now you got to pick and choose. Do you want to stay in the game and eventually create a successful real estate career, or do you want to be a statistic, drop out of this industry and go be a wage slave, for somebody else? Like, you just got to pick and choose what side of the equation that you want to be on and deal in realities of that.
Man,
Fire.
this has been an episode of truth bombs. That's the first thing that kind of like pops into my head around everything that you're saying, where it's like, just like, and I love how you helped everyone listening identify, the person that needs to move, the relocator, the investor, the people that actively have to make a move right now. And I think that so often we spend so much of our time trying to market to people that aren't necessarily, maybe they're making a move, but me and you, Vic, have had this conversation so much. It's like, you need different pillars inside your business, especially if you want to grow, where it's like, if you want now business, like we had chatted, it's the open houses, it's the people that actively need to make a move, but then you need to have the skill and you need to have the human approach in order to have a conversation with that person. So there's an element of skill. I want to close out with this one question, Josh. You're having tons of conversations with tons of agents, with tons of team leads, and specifically team leads. Right now, we've seen, obviously, I've seen a shrinking in teams where it's like team leads' abilities to lead the flock. So they're choosing and they're making the decision to detract versus expand. What advice do you have to a team lead? Because I know that you advise and you coach a lot of like team leads and a lot of CEOs that want to actively grow a business, but they're looking around and they're like, I don't know if now's the right time to reinvest back into my business. What advice would you have to a team lead that wants to expand, wants to continue to grow in an environment that sometimes, like, well, now specifically feels a little bit tumultuous or a little bit like uneasy? What are you saying to those team leads about expanding now?
Yeah, 100%. So the first thing is, don't get discouraged on any contraction that you had to go through, man. Sometimes snakes shed their skin for a reason, man. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes we got to drop dead weight, and whether that was that we had true dead weight or maybe we failed them as a leader, but those are all great learning experiences. So if you truly want to be a team leader or a brokerage owner or AKA an actual business owner and just not have a job in this industry, I would say, number one, do not abandon that vision that you have. And then from there, though, like, this is where operations come huge. Again, we were in a very easy climate where you could get away from the fundamentals. Now it's the fundamentals, so it's we've got to make sure we have the systems and processes. You got to make sure that, okay, when you're bringing on an agent, you're onboarding them correctly. Okay, now it's, every single lead source. Okay, like, I know exactly, what that cost per acquisition is of that lead source, what those expectations of so each one of my agents know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, where to do it, why to do it, what the expectations are, and what the repercussions are if those things aren't met. And we're keeping daily scorecards on those agents and essentially keeping a P&L on each agent based on the investment that we have them in for, with that different lead source. So then that way we can ensure that we're growing profitably. So again, and these are just the shit everybody always should have been doing in the first place. But we were come out of a climate where, you could kind of get away with not doing the fundamentals. But for the foreseeable future, it's going to all come down to the fundamentals. So get damn good at operations, take this stuff seriously, and go out there and fucking murder it.
Josh, want to say thank you, man. Thank you for dropping so many truth bombs today. And just, if somebody were to want to find you, they want to reach out to you, learn a little bit more about what you do, where's the best place that we can send them?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, gsdmode.com is kind of the hub, but you can, whether it's YouTube or any social media, if you type in Joshua Smith GSD Mode, Joshua Smith GSD, you'll find me.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.